Granny Sai's vital chi surged outward, and from behind her, a celestial apparition materialized. The vision was one of divine grandeur, a mighty god with 8 arms and 8 heads, exactly the same as Fu Yundi's eightfold heavenly god technique. Qin Mu scrutinized the spectacle, yet could find no discernible difference between the two. Blind's eyes widened in awe, his voice thick with admiration. The creation writings of the great educational heavenly devil scriptures truly live up to their name. It's no wonder it is said that it can shape one into a god or a devil. With a nod, Granny C replied, and Fu Yundi's voice echoed through her lips. The great educational heavenly devil scriptures consist of the writings of heaven, earth, human, god, ghost, devil, and spirit. This, indeed, is the heavenly god creation technique, renowned for its ability to imitate other techniques flawlessly. Blind fell into a brief silence before speaking solemnly. There are things I must say, though I wish to hold my tongue. Mu'er is now 14, a young cult master, and one day he must leave the great ruins. When will you begin imparting the great educational heavenly devil scriptures to him? Qin Mu, equally perplexed, could not recall Granny Sai ever bringing up the scriptures in the past 2 years. A heavy sigh escaped Granny Sai. To teach him the great educational heavenly devil scriptures now would twist his heart. The devilish nature of this technique is far too potent. Blind nodded thoughtfully. The great educational heavenly devil scriptures, revered as the holy Bible of the heavenly devil cult, had an intensity capable of corrupting even the purest of hearts. The vast array of devilish techniques within, alluring and endless, could easily lead one astray. Blind continued with a dark tone. I've seen it before. For a person to misinterpret its teachings, even with mature wisdom, leads them into terrible pitfalls. Take, for example, the night watchman who misread the pre-celestial freedom technique and sought to absorb the pneuma from newborns. His death came swiftly, at the hands of you and me. Indeed, Granny C said, rubbing her temples. If Mu'er can fully grasp the teachings of the great educational heavenly devil scriptures, there is no difference from righteous techniques and no harm would be done. However, the slightest misinterpretation would lead him astray, though he could still cultivate it. She sighed deeply, troubled. The strength gained is formidable, but a flaw will remain. The cultivation process is swift, and this is what led to the founding of the Heavenly Devil cult. It was once the Heavenly Saint cult, founded by saints from the heavens who sought to enlighten all beings with their techniques. But the followers twisted their paths, and the techniques became demonic, leading to the name Heavenly Devil cult. Though Mu'er is independent-minded, I fear he may misinterpret the scriptures if I hand them to him too soon. Suddenly, she sprang into the air and soared toward Border Dragon City. I will return to the city to prepare and await the vanguard of the Eternal Peace Empire. You all remain here and settle in the city. After some time, Qin Mu and Blind returned to Border Dragon City. The city, while bustling by night, was quieter during the day. A few villagers still lingered, and many had yet to leave. They once again entered the inn, where the owner, a fellow of the Heavenly Devil cult, had prepared rooms for them. Excited, Blind nudged Qin Mu. Mu'er, I will show you the gambling den. Grandpa and grandson will surely strike it rich today. Qin Mu smiled, recalling how Blind had been ejected from the gambling den last time, and declined. I'm not going. Blind grumbled. How about giving me some dragon coins? Qin Mu took out his coin pouch, and Blind eagerly grabbed a handful before striding off with his bamboo cane. Qin Mu watched, amused and exasperated. Blind, though gifted with immense potential, preferred to rely on luck at the gambling tables rather than using his abilities. Qin Mu descended the stairs, where the inn owner approached with a smile. Young cult master, are you leaving? Shall I prepare anything for you? Qin Mu shook his head. There are ears in this inn. You can address me as young master. No need for formalities. Understood, young master. After a moment of thought, Qin Mu asked, whose property is the gambling den next door? The inn owner's smile widened. It belongs to young master, of course. Would you like to visit your own property? I'll send for the owner to come and serve you. Qin Mu's eyes widened in shock. My property? The inn owner hesitated, then murmured, the market, gambling den, inn, restaurant, Cathaus, antique shop, medicinal store, blacksmith workshop, weapon store. Young master, over half of Border Dragon City belongs to you. Every person, from the gambling den owners to the market vendors, all answer to you. With a word, they would sacrifice themselves for your command. Qin was taken aback, his mind swirling. No wonder so many helped me eliminate my pursuers last night. After a long pause, he muttered to himself, "Tell the gambling den to let Blind win some, but not too much. Let him have fun." Understood. The inn owner bowed and left. Not long later, a well-dressed middle-aged man, Incense Master Han, appeared before Qin. He bowed deeply. "This is the owner of the gambling den, Incense Master Han." Incense Master Han appeared troubled. "Young master, it's not that I don't want to let the blind man win. The issue is he cheats openly. If he weren't so blatant about it, I would have turned a blind eye." Qin raised an eyebrow. "How does he cheat?" "He uses underhanded tricks with the dominoes. When he draws a bad hand, he claims to see a divine bird outside and openly switches the tiles in front of everyone. His dominoes are green, while ours are black. I'm at a loss here, young master." Qin couldn't help but chuckle. Let him win a few rounds, but if he cheats again, just give him a light beating. Incense Master Han nodded and left. Qin sat in deep thought. Is everything in Border Dragon City mine now? He felt strange, the weight of the situation settling over him like a heavy cloak. Granny C had killed Fuyundi and donned his skin, which meant this city, too, belonged to him. Qin shook his head, walking out of the inn. He intended to visit the dragon pillars of Border Dragon City. The city, vast and ancient, was protected by these mighty pillars. His heart raced with excitement as he approached one. Standing before the towering stone pillar, he marveled at the massive dragon god sculpture, coiled in a graceful but fierce pose. The pillars, each 500 yards tall, seemed alive in their divine majesty. As he examined the pillar, Qin felt a spark of realization. This city was once known as Heavenly Dragon Star Palace. These dragon pillars are sacred. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out from above, "Coward, what are you doing here at Border Dragon City?" Qin looked up in surprise. It was Ling Yuxiu, standing atop the dragon pillar, waving down at him. "Can you come up?" Qin hesitated, the height of the pillar daunting. He had run up cliffs before, but this was a different challenge. With determination, he backed up, gathered strength, and sprinted toward the pillar. His feet struck the stone like lightning, and he propelled himself upward with a burst of energy. Yet, as he neared the top, his strength faltered, and he began to fall. But just then, a silk ribbon dropped down, coiling around his wrist and pulling him upward. He landed on the stone platform at the peak. Ling Yuxiu smiled. "You actually made it up here." Qin still panting, glanced at the ribbon. "This is fine quality. What is it?" Ling Yuxiu beamed proudly. "Nature fragrance silk, woven as offerings for the Emperor. It's the best quality. Smell it. It never loses its fragrance." Qin sniffed the air, amazed. "I have a sweat towel made of the same material. It smells just like this." He chuckled, pulling out the towel from his chest. Translane Tales. Editor Fish Creek. Qin unfurled the sweat towel and studied the silk's texture. "I had thought that your fragrance was familiar, but now I see we both use the same kind of fabric." Ling Yuxiu's face flushed scarlet as she glanced at the sweat towel. She instantly snatched it from his hands, her anger and embarrassment rising together. "This is mine. Why is it with you? You even treat it as a sweat towel. I won't talk to you anymore." She stomped her foot in frustration and perched herself on the dragon's head, chin resting in her hands, her gaze drifting toward the horizon. Qin stood dumbfounded. "This is your sweat towel?" "It's not a sweat towel." Ling Yuxiu snapped, her face a storm of anger. "This is mine. My. I won't speak to you anymore." "If it's not a sweat towel, then what is it?" Qin asked in confusion. The young man scratched his head. "Grandpa Cripple gave it to me, saying it was to wipe sweat. I saw the quality and thought it was good, so I brought it along. If it's yours, I'll return it to you. Why get so angry?" Ling Yuxiu threw the feminine undergarment down angrily. "Even if you return it, I don't want it." Qin vital qi surged out, sweeping the undergarment back into his hand. "If you throw it like this, someone might pick it up and use it as a sweat towel. Wouldn't it be better if I keep it? I sweat a lot during training." Ling Yuxiu fumed. "Return it to me." The youth's confusion deepened. "Why should I return it to you when you're going to throw it away?" Isn't it better for me to use it to wipe my sweat?" Ling Yushu grabbed it back. Then, after a moment of contemplation, she took out a handkerchief and passed it to him. "This is personal stuff for a girl. Aren't you ashamed of using it? Let me give you this handkerchief instead. It's also made from nature fragrant silk, and I've embroidered it. You can use it to wipe your sweat." Qin took the handkerchief, his gaze landing on the embroidered image of a lopsided pig head. "That's really ugly embroidery." Ling Yushu flushed with both anger and embarrassment. "If you don't want it, then return it to me." Qin, eager to keep the handkerchief, tucked it away and sat beside her. "You took my sweat towel, so naturally you should give me something in return. What you took was far more valuable than this little thing you gave me. I'm still at a disadvantage here." The sun had risen high, and the warm rays of early spring brought a comforting sweetness to the air as Qin relaxed, gazing at the drifting clouds. Ling Yushu tilted her head, her eyes glinting with curiosity. "Do you think that the chubby seventh young master looks good?" Qin pondered for a moment before responding. "He's decent, but he has a strong feminine aura. He doesn't seem like a man, but rather a woman." Ling Yushu's fingers played with her hair, which cascaded over her chest as she giggled. "Do you think I'm good-looking?" Qin met her eyes with a serious expression. "Although your face is slightly plump, you're still quite pretty." Ling Yushu beamed, clearly pleased. Then her voice took on a more inquisitive tone. "Why didn't you run from the city after killing Fu Yundi's son? Why did you return?" "There's something I must do," Qin replied casually, closing his eyes again. "The great army of the Eternal Peace Empire is approaching, and I'm here to stop their invasion." Ling Yushu's heart skipped a beat. Her face became more solemn as she slowly spoke. "Do you realize you're attempting to strike a stone with an egg? The common folk of the Eternal Peace Empire live peacefully, working happily. Every sect and clan abides by the imperial family's rules, maintaining order in the empire. There's no war within the borders, only small skirmishes, so how could it compare to the chaos of the great ruins? The people here have no livelihood, always at each other's throats. They don't even know when their next meal will come. I've seen countless people selling their children. Their plight is pitiful. The army of the Eternal Peace Empire is just and righteous, so you should give up resistance and welcome the Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor with open arms." Qin opened his eyes, his gaze deep and thoughtful. "The people of the Great Ruins don't want to stay here either, but I've heard that those from the Great Ruins are called the abandoned children of gods. If they leave, they're caught at the Eternal Peace Empire's borders. Some are executed on the spot, others sold into slavery, forced to work in the mines until they die." His expression remained calm as he continued. "They simply want a better life. But their only reward will be death if they cross into eternal peace. Wouldn't it be better for them to stay in the Great Ruins, where they can still survive? If the Eternal Peace Empire invades, how do you think they will treat the abandoned ones, people like us? Will they kill us, or make us slaves?" Ling Yushu stood frozen, shocked by his words. She had never considered the situation from that perspective. All she had ever known was that the Eternal Peace Empire was righteous. Unable to contain herself, she asked, "Do you know? If you fight against the great army of the Eternal Peace Empire, only death awaits. There's no chance of survival." Qin smile was radiant, filled with unwavering confidence. He raised his head toward the east. "No, the Eternal Peace Empire, along with their Imperial Preceptor, will come to a crushing defeat here. They will face an insurmountable wall, their forces crippled. They have no idea what awaits them in this mysterious land. The legend of eternal peace being undefeatable will end here today." Ling Yushu stood, furious. "You stubborn mule! Why continue when death is the inevitable end?" Qin stood as well, locking eyes with her. "The abandoned people are already doomed if they go to eternal peace. If the Eternal Peace Empire invades, they will have no place left to live. We will all die. Since death is certain if we don't resist, why not fight for a chance to survive?" Ling Yushu, flustered by his gaze, descended from the dragon's head and walked toward the platform stairs. She turned to face him, her teeth gritted. "I'm from the Eternal Peace Empire. My mission here is to take over the Great Ruins, to bring it under the rule of the Eternal Peace Empire." Qin Mu nodded quietly. Ling Yuxiu continued, "It's impossible for me to betray eternal peace. Anyone who opposes the Empire will be my enemy." Qin Mu nodded again. "I'm one of the abandoned, and I'll never betray the great ruins." Ling Yuxiu turned, her figure disappearing into the stone pillar, her voice echoing from inside. "If we meet in battle, I'll show no mercy." Qin Mu watched the smoke rising in the distance, thick and dense like fog, moving steadily toward them. He muttered, "Me too." In the distance, the behemoths, colossal creatures with long tusks and armor like mountains, cleared the way for the army. Their massive bodies rumbled with every step, their bone armor clattering as they moved. Behind them stretched the endless ranks of soldiers, their presence suffused with an aura of power. War chariots rumbled forward and ships sailed above, each laden with soldiers and apothecaries feverishly crafting pills and medicines. The ships surged forward, their blast beast sculptures releasing violent gusts, propelling them through the sky. The great army of the Eternal Peace Empire was coming. Its vanguard already crossing the borders, and beyond them lay a mightier force gathered for the final strike. At the head of this army, the gonfalons of the Imperial Preceptor fluttered. Qin Mu's heart sank as he observed the advancing force. These soldiers were seasoned warriors, their every step like a tiger stalking its prey. Against such an army, Border Dragon City seemed no more than a fragile sheet of paper, easily torn apart. "Eternal Peace Empire," Qin Mu muttered. His thoughts darkened. Village Chief had once said that Eternal Peace Empire was a sect cloaked as an empire. To Qin Mu, the power of an empire far surpassed that of any sect. It had greater cohesion, more explosive force. When a sect transforms into an empire, its power is unmatched, its influence profound. Inside the City Lord's manor, Granny C, disguised as Fu Yundi, stood with her hands behind her back. The eightfold heavenly god manifested behind her, lending an air of grandeur to the City Lord. Outside the gambling den, Blind propped himself up with his cane, listening intently to the sounds of the advancing army. At the market entrance, a butcher with no lower half sharpened his knife. Across from him, a deaf man with iron ears painted frantically in the courtyard. His brush, 3 yards long, painted the sky with a lightning cloud painting that soared upwards. As the painting ascended, the sky darkened. Thunderous clouds, swirling as bolts of lightning, cracked through the air, illuminating the scene in an eerie glow.